Hello, welcome back to Podium. Rich and Hannah here with our previews for the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. We're daily from here until the end of the competition. The Podium Podlet will follow at the end of the action each day, so subscribe, follow, and make sure the pod drops straight away. This episode is focusing on the sprints, so from 100 metres up to 400 metres, including the hurdles and the relays. And joining us to preview all of that is a real stalwart of the British team. Richard Kilty won World and European Indoor 60 metre titles, and with the relay team won medals at the Olympics, World Championships, European Champs, Commonwealth Games. He's now a coach with Louis Hinchcliffe working underneath him. So it's great to have you, Richard, on this podcast. And well, first of all, I think we've got to say belated happy birthday, because I think you were celebrating yesterday as we record this, weren't you?
I already forgot about it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, 36 yesterday. Crazy how fast the time goes.
Well, we were concerned we were actually recording on your birthday, so we were quite relieved. We realised we weren't stealing birthday time.
Yeah, I think you could have found some better things to do than talk to us. But we appreciate your time. I think should we go straight into it? Because how excited are you feeling, Richard, about the World Championships? Because you've got involvement in it yourself, really.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's the first one as a coach that I've been to. So every time I've been fit, I've been to every World Championship since 2013. So it's the first time I've got two athletes competing. I've got Louis in the relay and my wife Dovie in the triple jump. So I'm officially a triple jump coach. I've been coaching her the whole year. And I'm just really excited. I think the excitement of the championships is huge. Like the Diamond League's been incredible this year. Zurich was amazing just last week. So I think the events are really starting to heat up. And it feels like the Olympics in Tokyo in 2021, everyone was so excited to go to Japan for the Olympics in Tokyo in that amazing stadium. I competed there myself, but there was no crowd there. So it feels like finally we're going to get to experience world-class athletics, which we are in Tokyo, in Japan, and it's just going to be really, really exciting. I think it's going to be one of the best we've ever seen.
And I totally agree. I'm loving the athletes getting excited about a different experience in Tokyo. But on the flip side of that, we're in, I think it's the 5th consecutive summer of championships. Do you think any of the professionals are starting to get fatigued? Is that starting to catch up with them a little bit? Or are they now used to it, this generation of athletes?
I think they're probably used to it. And also every year you see a new batch of people dominating events come through. So last year was a bit of an end of an era. A lot of people retired. So I think some of the people who are now on the world stage dominating certain events, they've only just kind of crept into that position this year. So you do have people from, let's say 2021, like Keeley, Noah Lyles, there's people like that who are still, up there as favourites to win events. But then you've got brand new people coming through. So I think there's a bit of a shift of people coming into the sport, some who didn't compete in Tokyo in 2022, some who this may be their first World Championship. So, but yeah, it is very interesting that every year we've had a global championships for the last 4 years.
And given that these World Championships are a bit later than they usually would be, has that been a challenge for you as a coach in terms of scheduling how the season looks? I mean, we've seen, and do you think that maybe that sort of had an impact maybe on some names that might be missing? I mean, as we record this, we've found out that Gabby Thomas won't be there, for example, but she was racing earlier in the season. We know that Marcel Jacobs, for example, has his injury problems anyway, but he will not be returning to Tokyo, where obviously he's had the scene of his greatest triumph.
It's very interesting for me personally. Dovie and Louis, who are coach, I wish we had another 3 or 4 weeks for Louis, certainly, because he was injured at the start of the season and we couldn't get enough races. So for us, we wished it was later. For Dovie, she's getting better every single competition, and the way my training program works, we go from quite high volume and we really taper off as the season comes in. So I think it will suit my athletes personally. I really enjoyed Doha in 2019 when it was in October. It was a very, very long season, and I competed all the way through. And for me, I just loved competing. And most of the athletes who we spoke to, then people enjoyed having an extra long season. I thought it was great. But then on the flip side for this season, I think a lot of athletes who potentially who did compete in Grand Slam, I think there's a handful of athletes who've done Grand Slam track who now their performances have seemed to they seem to be just not flatlining, but not really improving race to race. And there's also some athletes who've done full indoor campaigns and then started early. That may be a challenge for them, not because of their ability, not because of anything more. I would probably say it can be very emotionally exhausting, lifting yourself up for constant battles week after week after week after week. And eventually you can just become mentally exhausted from constantly trying to prime yourself for another big battle week after week. And this is the end of the season. It's the main one. And I think this championship may suit a lot of athletes who took their time and started a little bit later this season.
Okay, no, I think that's a really good point, and let's put it to the test. Let's test that theory, in theory, against some of these fields. So we're going to start with the short sprints, and I want to go for the women's first. Let's go women's 100. So my kind of question, really, looking at the whole season, is there anything Julian Alfred can do to beat Melissa Jefferson-Wooden? The difference on season's best is about a tenth. Like what do you reckon when you look at those two?
Yeah, for me, the favourite is Melissa Jefferson. I think she's just so consistent. She's completely dialed in. Soon as the gun goes bang, she's getting a meter on people to 30. She's pulling her way through her acceleration, and she's just holding her top speed phenomenally well through the line. And she seems to be dialed in around 10.6. I wouldn't be surprised if she went and ran 10.5 high. She goes in to the 100 meters with 3 of her training partners. So there's going to be an army of those girls in the call room, and she's going to be so relaxed and familiar in that environment. Julian Alfred goes in, Dina's not training with her no more. She's by herself. That won't faze her. She's Olympic champion. But Julian seems to have been a little bit more inconsistent in her race delivery. A couple of days ago, she had a poor reaction to the gun. She seemed to pop up out the blocks, and her torso rose pretty quickly. She kept her chin down with the illusion that she's still driving. She then pulled through and ran a great time, but it wasn't a particularly well executed race to her standards. Now, Melissa Jefferson, like I said, just seems to be completely dialed in, and I don't think she's going to have a bad run. She just seems to, as soon as that gun goes bang, every single step she takes just seems to be with lightning speed, accuracy, and just precision all the way through the line. And I think the only thing Julian Alfred can do to beat her is she's got to get the first 20 meters. I think if she's with Melissa Jefferson at 20, 30 meters, the race will go right down to the wire. But if she lets Melissa Jefferson get out at the start, I think she'll have a very hard time running it down. And for me, at the moment, I favour Melissa Jefferson.
And I think something I'm probably going to ask about Noah Lyles when we look towards him as well. But when you talk about those technical changes, can you do those in 2 or 3 weeks into a championships? Like, can you actually change something? If it's been wrong all season and then you go to the highest pressure situation, can you expect it to improve, or are you going to default to where you've been the rest of the year?
Yeah, I mean, you can do it. You can certainly make improvements. I think 3 or 4 workouts, you can make improvements. But if you're forcing that and overcomplicating it, you can get into that paralysis by analysis mode where it's all on my start. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. You can constantly work on things, but it does take time for things to be ingrained so that when you go out there under the bright lights, it just comes naturally. Whereas if you're having to constantly work on something a couple of weeks out, it can be a positive because you're like, right, this is a stimulus. If I get it right, I'm going to improve. It's great knowing that you're going into a race, knowing that there's things more to improve rather than just like, I'm running perfect. This is where I'm at. I hope I can hold it again. Or I'm going into this with not the complete product, and I'm going to work on it in the holding camp and the weeks leading up to it. And if I get it right, there's going to be huge improvements. But then on the other hand, if something has not been clicking and there's been inconsistencies all season, then under pressure, sometimes it can get a little bit complicated in delivering that. So, like I said, Julian Alfred's Olympic champion. I would never doubt her. She's got a great coach. She's a great performer. She's done it in the 60 meters, which takes a lot of pressure. You've got less time. She's done it over the 100. And I do believe that she'll put together her best race of 2025, and I do believe it'll be a very close race, but I just do believe all factors in Melissa Jefferson does edge it in about 10:60, 10:59.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's about that reproducing what reproducibility is easier than finding something else. And in a similar vein, just to finish off the women's 100, can Sha'Carri Richardson find enough to get on the podium? We look at someone that's not hitting those race elements yet. Could she get back on the podium?
I think she can. I just think when you go to a championship, you know this, Hannah, you've been a world championship medalist yourself. It's the script is kind of torn up and nothing's written, no one's name's written on those medals. They're all up for grabs. And when that starter's pistol goes bang, whoever gets to that finish line, first, second, and third will be handed the medals. And nothing which happened last week or 2 weeks or months ago matters. It just who can deliver in that moment in time. And Sha'Carri Richardson is one of the most gifted female sprinters we've ever seen. She seems to have had a lot of issues going on the last couple of months, bit of inconsistency, a few personal things going on, but she's obviously a very ferocious character and one that can perform when she needs to, and she's certainly got the physical ability to. So I wouldn't count her out for a medal at all. I think, like I said, she's in there with three of her other teammates. Dennis Mitchell's got four girls competing, and he's very infectious with his words. You've seen him. I've seen him in the warm period. He fills his athletes with the most amount of confidence, and they go into the call room, walking onto the big stage, completely amped up, ready to give it their best. And I do believe that she's still capable of winning a medal. To win a gold medal, I don't know if she can turn it around this quick. She's capable of it, but you never know. But I do believe that she'll be in the mix for pushing for a medal. And I also believe there's other athletes around there. I believe Dina, if she does Dina, she can be in the push for her medals. I think that the medals are going to be quite wide open, certainly for your bronze medal. I think you've got two out and out favourites for the gold and silver, but then after that, it's anyone's game really if you're in the final.
And of course, Richardson likes to prove doubters wrong as well. She really thrives in those occasions. If we move up to the 200 metres, we talked about the issues that maybe Julian Alfred's having with the start. I mean, also, she was a little bit rusty, obviously. She hadn't raced for about 5 weeks, I think, had she, before Zurich. But when you look at the 200, does she have a better chance here in claiming gold, in beating Melissa Jefferson-Wooden? And you've got to throw in Shericka Jackson, who had been so dominant in the 200, but maybe hasn't quite looked as smooth this season.
I think, again, it goes down to a close race between the two of them. I think whoever comes off, they're both terrifically strong. I think whoever runs the most efficient fast bend, so in other terms, whoever can come off the bend in the best position whilst conserving the least energy as possible, running efficient fast bend, will have the most energy to bring it home. And again, I think between those two girls, it goes down to who's going to put the best race together. We don't know what's been happening with Julian Alfred. She did have a period of time off where it was rumoured, was she injured? Was she not injured? We don't really know. We've not heard a lot from that situation. And again, I just believe that it's going to go down to a very close race. Shericka Jackson's getting quicker. If you look at just 2 years ago in Budapest, she absolutely just gapped that field in, was it 21.4? Mm-hmm. It was phenomenal. I was sat at the 100-metre start line when she ran past, and she came off 1.5 meters of everyone and just completely stretched the field. And that did have Gabby Thomas in there. It did have Julian Alfred. It had an all-star lineup. It was an amazing lineup. So knowing her type of training program, the Jamaican athletes do load themselves up quite a lot, and her coach will have her ready, deloaded, sharp, in prime race condition for the World Championship. So I would expect another 2-3 tenths to come off Shericka Jackson's best this season. And again, I think the three of them will have quite a close race. But again, I do believe in that race, my predictions would be, again, Melissa Jefferson, Julian Alfred, Shericka Jackson, in that order.
No, and I think you're right. You talked about its trajectories that different athletes are on. You do feel like Jackson is coming, is building that momentum. And then I was really thinking about her when we were preparing for this, and I'm wondering, is that 100 the right thing for Jackson to do? Should she sack it off and just focus on trying to beat them in the 200?
I think it all depends where she's at in training. If she's certainly, I've never seen any of the world-class Jamaican athletes shy away or not be conditioned for a 100-200 double. throughout the history of track and field, they've done the double incredibly well. So I think it won't take anything out of her legs. Maybe the rounds of the 100 meters will sharpen her up and get her used to the environment. I think it's all down to where she's currently at with her training, and her and a coach making the decision, can we use the 100 meters to sharpen up and not really take it, because they might have to take 100 meters on the chin because she doesn't look to be at her best over the 100 meters. But in the 200 meters, she can certainly be up there pushing to defend her title. And yeah, knowing how the Jamaicans train and the way they kind of periodize their training and their capabilities of doing the double, I would probably say she should do it. Just as a sharpener up for the 200. I don't think there's any conditioning or fitness problems where it would have any adverse effects on her. The only thing is, if she doesn't perform how she wants to in the 100 meters, will it affect her mentally? Or, like I said, will she just roll with the punches, use it as a warm-up for the 200? I think if she does that, then it could be a positive for her.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the British sprinters who are in this, obviously we've got Dina Asher-Smith, Amy Hunt and Daranita across doing a double, all three of them. Dina Asher-Smith has made some changes over the past few months. As you said, she was training with Julian Alfred, and instead she's come back to the UK.
Yeah.
Before we talk any more about Dina, let's just play a quick clip from Zurich last week, and I asked her about those changes that she's made and sort of the bravery really to do that so close to the World Championships. And Dina, how much has your experience come into that, to being able to have that sort of maturity to do that? Maybe 5-10 years ago, maybe wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think I would have been able to do this like 10 years ago. Definitely not 10 years ago or 5 years ago. I think it's also just understanding what you need, understanding what athletes need, full stop, and just creating a great environment so that you can be your fullest self and perform. I think that's essential, and at the end of the day I've got a duty to my own performance, and I have to put myself in a situation, environment where I know I can perform at my best.
Yeah, and it's quite a bold decision. But it's a really brave decision. It obviously works out well for you, because we only know the public you, but it feels a lot like this is more like the Dina Asher-Smith that we know.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's it really. Like, I'm always going to back myself. I want to go to Tokyo and be incredibly successful, and if I know that I'm in the shape to do that, I have to put myself in a situation where the races can show that. And at the end of the day, that meant coming and surrounding myself with people that are just driven to see me perform well and me perform well on the biggest stage, and putting the team around myself to do that. So thank you.
Yeah, and just lastly from me then, has the sort of mindset ahead of Tokyo kind of shifted a little bit, in that maybe are you more excited about it now than maybe you might have been a couple of months ago?
It's my 7th World Championships, and I've come into them all in so many different places. Sometimes you come in with like a pretty, you know what I mean, straightforward season. Sometimes you've been hurt, sometimes you're in good shape, but you're so anxious, because I'm thinking back to when I was in Beijing and you're young and you don't quite know what's going to happen. But end of the day, it's a showcase. It's an opportunity to be great, and I'm just really excited. Like that's it really, and hopefully get to see a little bit more of Japan this time. Mm-hmm. A little bit. Anxiety levels will be a little bit lower, but everybody, athletes, staff, press, everybody included. So yeah.
So Richard, do you look at Dina and think that she does seem a lot more herself now?
Yeah, I've known Dina since she was a very young girl, since we both made our first ever World Championship team together. She was 17, and Dina's a very special talent. She's always been the number one in her situation. Dina's a global champion. She's a world 200 meter champion. So I think Dina needs to be the number one in her setup. Now, I think coming back to London, being at home, being where she's comfortable, she's got amazingly supportive parents, she's got an amazing setup here, her life's been built here. I think bringing her back to somewhere where she feels comfortable and she's the number one in her environment, she's going to shine, because she probably puts a lot of pressure on herself to succeed, and rightfully so, because she's a global champion. So for her to achieve what she wants, it's got to be number one. But on the flip side of that, Dina runs better when she just runs free, like she's a kid in the school on a sports day. You know, in 2019, when she was running so relaxed, so pure, not a care in the world, she won the World Championships by, I think, almost half a second in 2019. And last year at the Olympics, I noticed that it looked, from my point of view, that she had a little bit of the weight of the world on her shoulders. It's the Olympic Games, and she has high expectation. Everyone has high expectations for her. She didn't perform how she wanted due to different factors. Then a couple of weeks later, she starts running 10.8, 10.8 at every single Diamond League when she was just relaxed and the weight was off her shoulders. So I think Dina coming back to London, coming back to where she's comfortable, you'll see her get the best out of her. And she ran 10.92 in Zurich a couple of just last week. I predict that she'll run a low 10.8. She'll push towards the British record, and again she'll be right in the mix for the medals. And Dina's just got out to go out there and be Dina, be carefree, smile, be happy, no expectation, and run free. And I believe she can do the damage and leave with a medal.
And after the issues that she had in Tokyo at the Olympics, what a redemption story that would be, right?
It would be absolutely amazing for her. I couldn't think nothing better than to see her go out there and win a medal this year in Tokyo. And she's capable of it. She's as talented as anybody. She trains as hard as anybody. And as long as she's right here, I believe she can do amazing things.
Right. So before we turn our attention to the men quickly, those British athletes, can they all make the final? Yeah. Can we dare to dream of the three of them in the 100 or 200 final?
I think they all make the final in the 200, but not the 100.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think Amy, Darryl and Dina make the final in the 200.
That would be ridiculous for British female sprinting, wouldn't it?
That would be amazing. And again, they all seem to, Darryl's slowly coming into shape. She started off a little bit tricky early season, but again, I've trained with Lance, her coach. I know how their program tapers in and gets them peaked properly. You see that with Noah regularly. She'll be at her best when it comes to Tokyo. Amy's made some great improvements, and I don't see any reason at all why the three of them don't make the final. They're all good enough, and I believe they will.
Okay, well, that's
in the 200.
In the 200.
Okay, yeah. Reasons to feel optimistic at least. Let's move on to the men's then. And a lot of the discussion, because he likes to dominate the narrative himself as well, has been about Noah Lyles.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's the Jamaicans this season, isn't it, who's had the upper hand, especially in the 100. If we speak about the 100 first of all, Kishane Thompson looked like he was almost nailed on. Then we haven't seen him for a few weeks, which is interesting. He dipped out of the last few Diamond Leagues. He was due to compete, but he wasn't there. And then you've got Oblique Seville as well, who in the last two meets that he's turned up at, especially that one in Lausanne where the weather was atrocious, but he's still bringing down his super fast time. Are the Jamaicans the ones to beat?
They are. They're the fastest. Oblique Seville and Kishane Thompson are the two. If you, all things perfect, everybody runs their own race, I believe them two are the two fastest men in the world. In terms of pure speed, I believe they're both capable of running low 9.7s. But it's completely different when they go out there and the carrot's dangled in front of you and adrenaline's there and you've got 45, on average, 45 steps to take to get from the start line to the finish line to be the fastest man in the world. Things start getting a little bit complicated when you put in all these different factors. And then it becomes about who is going to be the best version of themselves under the pressure. Kishane Thompson, I believe, last year, through the race away in Tokyo, I believe he tightened up at the end and Noah dipped him because Noah ran his own race. I believe he lost that race. Oblique Seville looked the best throughout the semis. I believe he also was capable of running 9.7 in Paris last year and certainly getting a medal, but he didn't. He faded to the back, and we've seen that with him multiple times. We've seen it in Eugene. We've seen it in all of the last couple of global championships. He's looked the best in the semi-finals, won the semi-finals, but for whatever reason, when he gets out there on the start line and he gets lined up amongst the other 8 when it really matters, he's not been able to deliver the race that he's been able to deliver. So, in my opinion, yes, they are the two fastest. They are the most dangerous in terms of raw speed. But we know that there's so many different factors to come into play in a World Championship final. And, yeah, it could be tricky.
So do you think, right, if we go on track records, Lyles has the last 2 global titles.
Yeah.
He can deliver under pressure. He can
Yes.
keep his cool. Is that enough, or does he need to improve his start as well? And also Benarek as well. He's got that quick time. When you say the trajectory of Benarek has been quite level, but it's still been very good. So yeah, who's the favourite then?
I actually don't know who the favourite is. For me, I believe even if he doesn't run his best race, I believe Oblique Seville is just faster than everybody this year. I know he didn't win the Jamaican Nationals, Shane Thompson did, but I believe he's so fast and he's got such fast frequency and he's so relaxed. If he just stays in his own lane and kind of, a little bit like I said, Wadena runs like a school kid in the playground, he wins the race. But Noah Lyles started his season later. He's getting better race by race. His last 100 metres when he raced Oblique Seville, Noah came through a little bit tight, but one thing's for sure, you will get the best Noah Lyles in the final in Tokyo, and that will scare the others no matter what. They know he can finish so strong. They know for a fact he will stay relaxed under pressure, and Noah Lyles will deliver his best performance in the final in Tokyo, no matter what happens in the quarterfinals, no matter what happens in the semi-finals. He's going to go out there, he's going to put on a show. Like the bottle that it took for him to come out there in Paris and run into the middle of the track and start screaming and roaring, it was like, the bottle he's got to do that. The others must have been thinking, what? And then he went out there and won it. So he's got it within him, and you know that he's going to bring his best. Now, is he faster than the others? I don't know, but is he a better performer? Well, you've got to say he is. So to me, the medals go between Oblique, Noah, and Shane Thompson. But I just believe if Noah's going to win it this time, he's going to need to run a personal best. I do believe even if Shane and Oblique don't put together their perfect race and they make mistakes, they're going to run about 9.75, and Noah's going to have to be prepared to do that.
But the thing for me with Lyles, like his start is so bad. It's not like this season. It's not like it's slightly bad. Like I was trying to look back at the, it's 5 to 10 hundredths. To think he won the Olympics by thousands, like it's almost so bad. I'm like, is he doing it on purpose? Get in their heads, and then he's going to be so good in Tokyo.
Yeah, and this is from someone he nearly won the world indoors last year.
Yeah.
He ran Coleman very close in Glasgow, so he's capable of getting a great start. But I think if Noah has missed training, we don't know exactly what his situation was, whether he was injured around April, May time. He did have a delay to his season. Usually the start and the sharpness is what comes last. His top end speed, his general condition will always be there. That's his strength. But I think the start will come last. But you've got to be in the race at the midway point. You can't have Oblique Seville and Shane Thompson 2 meters ahead of you, because no matter who you are, you're not going to run them down at that stage. So you've got to be within touching distance, even if you know Lyles. So if he doesn't fix that, again, I believe the Jamaicans will run away with it. And again, I believe, like I said, this race is all going to come down to who is the best version of themselves. We all know in an ideal world, some people are aggressive performers, some people are showmen, some people like to have the back against the wall in an emergency. It's clutch time, I've got to bite down on the gum shield and go. Some people run better when they're free. Everyone's completely different, but whoever's on that 100-meter start line has got to go out there and be the best version of themselves. Otherwise, in 9.7 seconds, and like I said, 45 steps, each one of those steps, they're taking nearly 5 steps a second. If they're not placed with laser accuracy, long, fast, powerful steps, connecting accurately on the track and staying composed, someone will take that, because there's no one's that much faster than the others to be able to make those mistakes. So again, if I was Oblique Seville, my advice to him would be just be carefree, head in the cloud, just go out there and run with no expectation. Shane Thompson, his strength is the drive phase between 20 meters and 50 meters, when he has his torso down and he's producing force with those steps and accelerating through. He can pull away from the field and win it there. Noah Lyles, as long as he's in contention and stays relaxed at the end of the race, he could win it. But again, it's going to be who can be the best version of themselves when the gun goes bang. But my pick this time, I just have a feeling that Oblique Seville is going to learn from his mistakes and deliver it. I would like to see that.
I think there is an element of, if something's gone wrong at the Olympics, that's so bad, like almost the worst has happened. So you'd hope Seville and Thompson can relax into it.
Well, I was going to kind of say the opposite though, from my point of view. So someone who's not been an athlete, right? You look at it, you look at the mental side of this, and you look at the experience and the track record that Lyles has got, and then the showboating that comes on top of that, and it's all built around, he likes to build the whole occasion around him. And I just wonder, Richard, what you think about the fact that it's all very well saying you can go out there with a plan and you can try and execute your own race. And these guys are vastly experienced anyway. But again, the person who has delivered at the last major championships is still Lyles. How much can that get in your head? And this applies across the 100 and the 200.
Well, Noah's got that X factor, hasn't he? He's one of those performers in sport at the moment who he's been dominating, and he rubs people up the wrong way. I know for a fact he does. You know,
I wouldn't want to be in a call room with Noah Lyles. No thanks. If you're trying to compete,
the other sprinters on the world stage, he does rub them up the wrong way. He gets underneath their skin, and he can be annoying to them, and that can also cause them frustration because we're not in a contact sport. You know, it's not a combat sport. It's not a contact sport.
Unless you're Kenny Bednarek, of course.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and it's he rubs them up the wrong way. He performs his best, and it's hard to bet against him because again, he is a super talent. He's one of the greatest sprinters of all time. He performs when it matters. He does things which do rub people up the wrong way, and he's going to cause some serious problems out there. And it is hard to bet against him, isn't it? I'm just going for Oblique Seville because I just seen that seems to be that much faster than everybody else this year. Shane Thompson also does. He did beat Oblique Seville, but from what I've seen, to run 986 and 987 in the pouring rain into a headwind, that was just an insane performance. But it doesn't really matter, does it?
You're right. No one gets a head start, do you?
And again, I'm saying Seville is my number one pick, but again, it's hard to bet against Lyles.
Yeah.
Is he nailed on for the 200? Do you think though?
No.
So how do you see the 200 going then? I mean, we know the battles with Bednarek and let's see Tebogo.
I don't know. I seen something the other night which makes me think Tebogo's got a little bit more in the tank.
Okay.
But then again, it's hard to bet against Noah. But Tebogo won the Olympics last year.
John, what was it you saw then? Was that something in Zurich then? Like you think there's more there?
He came off the bend ahead of Noah, and Noah had to really muscle to get past him. Now I think if Tebogo can come off the bend with a little bit more relaxation and not using as much energy, he finishes that little bit stronger and he takes the win. I think Tebogo wins it.
I was speculating this week. I think if Tebogo got drawn on an inside lane inside of Lyles, that for me changes the whole dynamic because Lyles isn't chasing. He's the pressure's on him to set the pace. I think that would totally change if they were the other way around.
It does. The lane draw is going to be interesting. Yeah. And then if you can look at it from two points. Will Tebogo, if Lyles is outside of him, will he dictate the way he sets the race up on his vision of Noah in front of him? That would be the wrong thing to do. And then Noah, for the last however many years, he's chosen lane 7 a lot in Diamond Leagues because he prefers an outer lane to run his own race because he's that confident of running away with it. But then on the flip side, if Noah's on the inside, does he then gauge himself off Tebogo? It's going to be a close race. And again, it goes back to what I said in the 100 metres. It's all about who delivers their best performance because in the 200 it does look to be like them two. And then another thing we've got to take into consideration is the last 2 Olympics, Noah Lyles has not beaten Kenny Bednarek. He's beaten him in the last 2 Olympics. They've had that little bit of controversy at the US Championship. Will that bring the best out of Kenny? I don't know. But to me, again, I believe it's Noah and Tebogo with Kenny getting the bronze.
Okay. And just like we did for the women's events, let's talk about the Brits as well. Zarnell, Hughes. Is the 200 the better chance for him? We saw, so in the 100, it is Hughes, Jeremiah Azu and Romel Glaive. We saw Eugene Amadadzi go second all time at the weekend as well, but he's not going to be in 100. He isn't a very strong relay team, which we'll come back to in a minute. And in the 200, it's Zarnell and Toby Harries, who went for a full send to try and get a world ranking and got his place as well. But I mean, it's all eyes on Zarnell Hughes, I imagine, isn't it? And is he an outside chance, a good chance for a medal, at least in the 2?
He's an outside chance of a medal in the 2. You've got Pete. There's the 3 of them who seem to be 3 nailed-on favourites. You've got Brian Lavelle from Jamaica, who's been running phenomenally well. He'll be difficult to beat. If Zarnell's doubling, that has proved tricky for him. the last couple of times to double up. He pulled out of the 200 last year. It has proven a bit of a challenge for him in recent years. I believe Zainel's got an equal chance in the 100 and 200. I believe he's very consistent in both, and I believe he finishes top 5 in both events. But I wouldn't say the 200's his favourite. I wouldn't say the 200 is where I'd favour him. I'd say he's very consistent in both events, and he pushes top 5. Again, it would not surprise me at all if he was able to pull out a medal. He'd done it in Budapest, but the way things are looking this year, I do believe he finishes top 5 in both events.
I love how we have pushed you to predict some of the least predictable events in track and field. So to finish to push you the extra level, 4x1's what's going to happen.
Yeah, do the USA get a batons round?
Yeah, is USA going to finish?
Every time Noah is not in a team, they mess up.
Really?
Thing doesn't go if he doesn't run the heats, and I believe he adds that little bit of star quality to their team. Well, I know he does. I believe USA will do a good job this year. I just have that feeling. They didn't perform well last year, but I believe they will this year. I believe USA will be difficult.
Do you think they're good enough? Do you think the US men are good enough that they should be doing some safer changeovers? It's interesting. I think you always see the US teams pushing to the limit. When I just think, go a bit safer, and you probably still win.
Exactly. Just be it always seems to be an extreme with them.
Yeah.
And they seem to be missing the core fundamentals, like just accelerate out on the check mark and keep your hand pinned back. And until the baton is in your hand, don't reach for it. Don't try and find it. It's the incoming athlete's responsibility to deliver you the baton. Your only responsibility is to, when he hits the check mark, accelerate out hard. When you hear the call, put your hand in a clear, visible, stable spot for it to be delivered. It's the incoming athlete's responsibility. He's the driver. He's there to catch you and deliver it. Just keep it basic. And like I said, they don't need to stretch the check marks. They're quick enough. But it all goes down to the coaching setup, which they've got. They're changing their coaches quite regularly. And again, you might look at them and think, oh yeah, they're amazingly successful. Yeah, but because they've got 4 athletes who can run 9.8 in the 100, or a handful 9.87s, 9.8s. The women have got girls who can run 10.6 to 10.8. I think they had 28 women this year in the 100 meters who ran the qualification standard for the world. It's insane. So they should not be doing anything less than reeling out medals, preferably gold, even if they had the most basic level of relay and a little bit of consistency and discipline. They should win the thing outright. And then you've got other nations like Britain. We're very, very quick. We need a third leg runner at the moment. Let's see what order they put us in, but we're quick. We've got Zainel, Louis, Jeremiah, Eugene, Ramel. The team looks very quick on paper, but it's not that simple when it comes to relay skills. But I believe in the relay, it'll come down to South Africa, Great Britain, and USA if all changes are slick.
I was talking to someone else about this recently, Richard, about do the US sometimes make it, they go a little bit too obvious with, like, you just pick like basically the 4 or 5 best athletes that you can go for rather than the 4 that can gel the best instead. I can't sometimes put it in, like, you can watch some teams perform better than the sum of their parts. The likes of Japan, Poland, they're
Germany.
always very good. Germany, very good. And GB as well, being very, very good. It seems like there's a good mix there. It seems they get it absolutely right, but the Americans don't. I always put it like a comparison of, you can't play an entire football team full of Lionel Messis. It's kind of I always look at it that similar kind of way. Is that a fair comparison?
100%. The amount of nonsense I see on social media of should be the team. No, it shouldn't, because if you come to a relay practice, some athletes have butterfingers and they can't grip that thing. Some have no check mark discipline. Some of them have vision problems. Some of them are great on the straights, but not great on the bends. Some of them are great from going from a starting block acceleration in a straight line, but not from a 3-point start going around the bend and then taking a baton. There's so many different factors that come into play. So it never usually is the 4 fastest people. It just doesn't work that way. And the amount of data that gets collected in relay practices, the amount of times that athletes get ran off on head-to-heads against one another. If you come to a relay practice, you'll see 3 people on the bend going head-to-head, hammer and tongs, passing into 3 people, receiving it on the straight. The data will be collected. The team staff will decide historically who has the fastest legs. Everything gets recorded. It's all data-driven on the British team, that is. And usually the team is not the 4 fastest 100-meter runners in a straight line from starting blocks. There's so many different factors. It's a different event, of course. Pure out-and-out raw speed when you're in the middle of your run with the baton, it counts for a hell of a lot. But there is 90 meters worth of exchange zone, which is basically out of 400 meters, 90 meters of it is in that exchange zone. That counts for a hell of a lot. So yeah, on the US team, looks like they need to kind of get the tactics right and understand the individuals who make up your team. You've got to, if you have a successful army, anything successful, you've got to understand your players. You've got to understand the strengths and characteristics that your team brings and choose wisely from that. I know what my GB team would be, and it certainly would not be the 4 fastest athletes this year. There would be people in there who you'd be like, oh, really? But it would be a safer, faster team. But again, that's not my job. But from my views, and I've coached the British relay team in 2023, it wouldn't be what you think it would be. And that would be a strategic choice and one that would certainly get a medal. But you never know how it's going to play out. But it's a very tactical event.
I mean, just very quickly then, Richard, if you just want to go through the top 3, just name the top 3.
Men's and women's. Just so we can champion you if you get it right.
Yeah, and just a reminder, so in Paris here, in the men, it was Canada, South Africa, GB. Obviously, US didn't manage to get the baton round. And the women's was USA, GB, Germany.
Okay, so I'm going to go for USA. In the men's 4x1, I'm going to go USA, Great Britain, South Africa. Sorry, no, I take it back. I'm going to go USA, Japan. I'm going to...
Ooh, yeah, good shout, good shout.
USA, Japan, Great Britain.
Okay. Women? This is brutal, we do apologise.
I'm going to go Great Britain. Japan, I'm going to go Great Britain. No, I'm going to go USA because it may be made full of Dennis Mitchell's training group, and I believe that they'll have a great team cohesion and chemistry. No, sorry, I'm going back. Great Britain, USA, Jamaica.
Love it.
Lovely.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll take it.
And we take it. We will hopefully we can replay this in a few weeks and say,
and let's move on before Richard changes his mind again.
Yes.
I know.
Let's
I change my mind every 5 seconds.
We'll whiz up the distances. Just have a look at the other sprint events. Women's 400. Eve Nasser, when you mentioned the trajectory of athletes from Grand Slam track through to the rest of the season, she jumped out to me in Zurich as someone that was putting that back on track. She's still down on head-to-heads against Paulino, who is the reigning Olympic champion. It's very hard to choose between those two. I mean, I think it could be either of them on the day.
But Sydney's running it, right?
Yeah, and this is my question. Can she actually compete with those two? Like, is this a big media hype that she can actually take the gold? Because she's definitely in the shout with the bronze, but she's not as quick. She's just not as good at these two at the 400. She's not as experienced, the pacing. Or do you think she hasn't found her limit?
I think she can. I think she can. I think she's the greatest all-around female.
Yeah.
I think her 50.2 is arguably the greatest performance in track and field. It's up there. It's top 5. But I think Nasser and Paulino, because they've gone head-to-head so many times, they're going to be so dialed in and consistent at performing at that high level. Sydney's not really performed that much this year. I don't know. I favour Nasser. I'm going to say Nasser, Sydney for the silver, Paulino for the bronze. To me, I think Paulino looks a bit tired.
No, I like that. I agree with that. And I think you make a good point there that perhaps we know what we're going to get out of Nasser and Paulino. We know we're going to get a 48.7. We don't know what we're going to get out of McLaughlin-Levrone. Like, you can't put a limit on that.
Yeah, she could go out there and just completely shock us and run 47. I wouldn't be surprised, but I think she probably needed a few more 400-meter races and getting used to racing. The other girls in the 400, they've raced each other so many times in Grand Slam and Diamond Leagues. They're familiar with those circumstances. I don't know, but I think Sydney will win a medal, and I think she sandwiches herself between. I think NASA wins it, Sydney and Paulino. That's my prediction.
Like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the men's 400, there's no Olympic champion. Quincy Hall won't be in Tokyo. We've got Matthew Hudson-Smith, who got silver in Paris, just pipped right at the end there. Not seen a lot of him recently because obviously he's become a dad now, so that's been the focus of his mind. So I guess he's got a new, complete different context on life now, which might be a good thing, I guess. And it's Charlie Dobson as well for Great Britain. So we've got reason to be optimistic here from a British point of view. When you're looking at the likes of Jacori Patterson, though, where do you see this going?
I think Matt's going to win it. I think having the motivation with having the baby, he's got silver the last 2 times. I believe he's the best 400 meter in the world, and I think he wins it.
I do as well.
Out, complete. That's probably been your most confident prediction.
Yeah, I think he wins it. I do think he wins it. I think he's the best.
I only have a few moments I've cried during commentary, and I think Matt getting a medal in Eugene was that I just lost it.
Yeah.
I was like, when you seeing what he's gone through his whole career, every stage of it.
He's been through so much. I remember, he's a good friend of mine, and I remember in Tokyo 2021 what he was dealing with, from politics, the team, behind the scenes, the staff, the way he was treated, the position he was in mentally. For him to rebound and start dominating and run 43-4, 43-3, it's insane. And I just think it's his time to go out there and win it. Last year it took a freak run to beat him, and one of the fastest performances of all time. I just believe this time he's going to do it. He's going to win.
So Charlie Dobson, I reckon, can make the final. Do you think that's the limit? Do you think? I mean, London was so impressive. London Diamond League was pretty impressive from him.
I think he's just got to get himself in the race earlier. Charlie's so quick to 200 metres. If he just had bottle to go through, and he's as fast as any of them to 200 metres. He's ran a wind-assisted 19.9. He's run a 20.0 legally. I do believe he's got to get in the race a little bit early. He can't just rely on pacing himself and coming through and finishing 5th. I believe Charlie's got to take a big leap of faith, believe that he can get in for the medals and run the race to win it, or at least to win a medal. I believe he makes the final easily, but I do believe he's capable of winning a medal. I believe Charlie's a 43-second runner. He won the Diamond League last year, the Diamond League final. He won in London. I believe if he just gets out with a little bit more intent, he'll find himself right in the mix. And again, he's got the level of ability to medal. But if I would say he'll finish in the top 5.
Yeah.
But,
which is phenomenal. But I would like to think if he makes that final, the confidence of making the final could then unlock that sort of roll the dice for the first 200.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but before that, you want to make the final. But then if you're in it, you go, why? What's? I'd rather fade and come 7th, and no, I tried to come 3rd. You'd hope that's the mentality to come in.
I hope so. You bang on. That's what he's got to do.
Yeah.
And the depth in the men's 400 is so good at the moment. We were talking to Toby Harris recently, and he likes to put a bold prediction ahead anyway. But he thinks. I think maybe some of his teammates think, and maybe he's just vocalised it, they're pretty confident and they can get close to, if not break, the world record if everything clicks.
The British men's team break the world record.
The 4x4.
It's quite a bold statement, isn't it? But,
it's a bit,
I'm
isn't
sure the world record was full of 43 runners. I think with Charlie and Matt, you've certainly got yourself 2 43-second runners. If Toby runs, he's very exciting, isn't he? He can pull something out there. Lewis Davies, they've got some badges in that team. They're all up for it. They're all as game as it comes. The world record, I don't know, but I'm predicting that they can take the British record down quite comfortably, and I think they can win the World Championships, the British team. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And we probably haven't got time to get into the 4x4s. So we'll move on to the hurdles. Now, when you talked about this changing of the guard in this year, we've had so many global championships. Grant Holloway, it was disappointment in Tokyo, and then he rebounded and he's been unbeatable since then until we get here, till we get to 2025. He hasn't won an outdoor race this year. when you look at him and his track record, can he pull off another global title, or are we looking for a new world champion in the men's high hurdles?
Again, when we talk about someone like Grant Holloway, we're talking about one of the best that's ever done it. So consistent, so dominant, one of the most physically dominant athletes in the sport. He knows how to win. He's one of the greatest ever. But Cordell Tinch at the moment just seems to be so consistent and so dominant and so confident that it would take one of Grant's best performances ever, I believe, to beat him. And when you're under that pressure and things are not going right and you know you've got to be at your absolute best to win it, it suddenly stacks a little bit of pressure on your shoulders, and sometimes things may not go the way you want it to. But again, I can't sit here and say Grant Holloway is not capable of winning, because of course he is. He's one of the best hurdlers in history, and it wouldn't surprise me. But I would have to say I believe Grant Holloway is the better hurdler, the more successful. Cordell Tinch has got to stand the test of time before he's on the same level as Grant Holloway in terms of achievements and consistency and as a great hurdler. But at this moment, I believe he's dominating the event, and I believe Cordell Tinch will win it in about 12:88, 12:87.
Let's hear from Cordell Tinch again from Zurich last week.
I feel like I set the bar so high starting this season that I had to continue it. And it's not that I have felt any pressure to continue it, but just me as a person. I feel like I set the bar high. We're gonna keep rolling. So even though we tapered off a little bit, took a slight step back, because you cannot run 12:8 for 5 straight months. I don't care what anybody says. So we took a step back to figure out where we were. And honestly, the last 2 races have shown that we did the right thing in stepping off the gas a little bit and then getting back onto it. And it's going great.
Have you always been that way in your attitude, your outlook at things? Have you had to learn it?
I think that I've had this attitude in a sense, but it was smaller before. I don't think I was as vocal with it, because I was always afraid that it would come off of, people are going to think he's arrogant, people are going to think he's cocky, they're going to think this, they're going to think that. But I have always bet on myself, and regardless of this situation, even when I was working at US Cellular, I was legitimately betting on myself. I told myself, if we keep here, we'll be the manager of this store, we'll manage that store. That's always been my thought process, whether it's athletic or not. So I think that being put on this stage where a lot of people believe I'm one of the best hurdlers in the world, and times have shown that, it just kind of embraces it and makes it a bigger personality. But it's always been there. Yeah,
I enjoyed you talking in the press conference yesterday, where you're constantly saying over and over again that the times don't matter, like right now, because that's not kind of what the end goal is, which is quite an impressive mindset to have, because a lot of people can sort of dwell on that, and then you can sort of taper right off and you just go a bit missing.
Exactly. I think that I have never been one for times, because if you think, if I get into the blocks and think, all right, today's the day I'm going to run sub 13. No, that's usually not how it goes, because now you're overthinking. Now your trail leg's not coming through. You're off balance, this and that. There's so many little things within hurdles. You cannot go in thinking any other way. You have to have a clear mind and focus on what's in front of you. Otherwise, you're going to trip. You're going to hit a hurdle. You're going to stumble. You're going to be off balance.
Yeah. So with all that in mind, are you able to take a moment to enjoy those achievements?
Absolutely. It takes me a while to fully get all of it, especially right after a race, because I'll be honest, the last few races I haven't even known the time till people have told me what the time was, because I don't really pay attention. I just look, I see my name comes up first or my name came up second, and that's it. And I'll go back, watch it back in slow-mo probably about 50 times and figure out what things I liked, what things I didn't like, just because I don't know if this is for other hurdlers, but for me, I am in fully autopilot mode from the time they say set and up until we cross the line. Like, I don't notice anything. I don't really feel anything. It's just a matter of going out and competing.
Yeah, I don't expect you to go into your life backstory here, but you obviously do have a very different character. But just from every kid wants to have the opportunity that you had to be a football player, right? That you could have followed that path. And why was that not right for you? And how did you find your way back into this sport?
So yesterday when I spoke and said, the short version. So I went to school to play football and to run track.
Okay.
But obviously I was there in June. We ain't doing nothing track related in June. Yeah. So I was there for doing football stuff, and I got to the point where I did not want to it just wasn't for me. It didn't seem like it. And I think it all comes back to how competitive I am. Because I can go out there as a wide receiver and run the best route anybody's ever seen, fake a defender out all the way, but if the O-line doesn't hold up, if the quarterback doesn't make the right throw, if a safety on the other side decides to make a great play, all of what I did could be for nothing, versus when you're out here on the track and you're in your lane, everything depends on you. So it's either you're going to go out there and do what you're supposed to do, or you're going to go out there and fall on your face. But regardless, you can't blame anybody, you can't point fingers. It's all on you, and I think I just love that. I think I actually just enjoy that part of competition.
It's 4 wins in a row for Cordell Tinch. He's only finished outside the top 2 in a race in his opening race of the entire season, and he's raced a lot. What do you make of his mentality, and in terms of how he seems absolutely laser focused on what the end goal is at the end of this season?
Yeah, it's amazing. You see athletes get into, and Hannah, you'll know this, when you get a few moments in your career where you're like, things are just, they're just, you're in the groove.
Everything you touch turns to gold.
Everything just seems easy. I do believe you were the captain when I won the World Championships, weren't you, Hannah?
I think so. Yeah. No, I don't know.
I can't. Anyway, but I do remember. Yeah, you get a few times in your career, like Hannah will know, where you're just in that groove and everything just seems easy. And when you get an athlete who's the best in the world and they just find that bounce and that rhythm and that groove, he just seems to, I can't see him losing. When you've got that mentality, that consistency, and you're winning, he's just in a very, very special place. And you can hear that with the way he's speaking. You can see it in the way he's performing. I don't see any other result than him winning.
No, and I agree, and I think he's been through his ups and downs and his disappointments, and I think Cordell Tinch is kind of ready to dominate. I might pick Rachid Murataki for a home medal. He's coming in some great form. I think he could be interesting. But
he didn't perform very well in the last.
No, he didn't in Zurich. He didn't. You're
but
right.
he ran 12.92, didn't he?
Yeah.
So with the home crowd and stuff, I think you'll see a few surprises from the Japanese athletes. To be honest.
It's similar to the relays. You just need 10 clear barriers, and Jacoby Tharp is a youngster that's on the up for the US champion. I think you're right. I can't look past Cordell Tinch for the win, but silver and bronze. I think there's probably 5 or 6 athletes there in the men's event. But I want to have a look at the women's high hurdles as well. We've got the defending Olympic champion Masai Russell probably coming in as a favourite, but the silver and bronze medalists, Serena Samba Mayela and Jasmine Camacho Quinn, aren't here. No. So I don't know. First off, Masai Russell, she's looking pretty nailed on there for me in terms of the consistency and the time she's running.
Yeah, I think she's the favourite. I really enjoy watching her as a competitor. I've watched her a lot, and she's just a very, very aggressive, confident performer who seems extremely relentless. And I do believe she wins it, and I think she'll push to break the world record if she runs her best race. And to me, she wins it. I think Nugent they had a lot of tear-ups in college and they were great rivals. She is very inconsistent, but like you've seen at the end of last season, she just started reeling off amazing times. And again, I think if she goes into there relaxed and not putting much pressure on herself and just does her and focuses on her lane, I believe she will push and be right up there for a medal. And I think someone who's looking good, who's an outside shot of a medal, and I'm predicting she medals, is Visser from the Netherlands. I think she gets a medal. I think every year she just seems to improve and improve, and she's just got this relentless attitude of getting better and better. And for me, they're your medalists. I'm going Masai Russell, Nugent, and Visser.
I endorse that. I endorse that. I endorse most of your predictions, to be fair.
Just 2 events left then, and let's go to the men's 400 metres hurdles. Let's hear first from Karsten Warholm, who has returned to form in style over the past month.
We had a great plan. We started early. We wanted to build, the speed over the 3-meter hurdles. That was the season part 1, and then we did 2 months of training in the middle of summer, and now it's season part 2, building the 4-meter hurdles, and I think it's coming out really nicely in front of Tokyo, actually.
Yeah, I'm quite enjoying the way as well in the press conference yesterday, you're almost calling out some of your rivals and just saying, come on, let's do some more head-to-heads. You can't wait to get out there and race them, right?
I think it's always more exciting, but at the same time, if it happens too often, is also not the same amount of fun. So, it's also cool that we're saving it for Tokyo. It's, I'm having a bit of fun, but actually I have great respect for them, and everybody has to do their own priorities, but it would be fun to really do a head-to-head here in the Diamond League final. But also I enjoy running by myself and just do my own race like I did today. So for me, good job. So to me, I don't care. I just came and wanted to win, so it doesn't matter who line up.
Varholm there, sounding full of confidence, as he should be. He's been running super fast. I love his nod there to say, well, yeah, I was focusing on the 3 hurdles, so that's why I got beaten by the guys over 400 back in June. But it's all part of the game plan. What do you reckon then? We've got Varholm, Benjamin, Dos Santos, same contenders as we've had the last few years. What's the order going to be?
I think Karsten wins it. I think Benjamin second, and Dos Santos third. Yeah.
Do you think Dos Santos has got enough in the tank left? He's had a long old season. I still think he's good enough to get that bronze ahead of anyone else.
I think he's good enough to get the bronze. Yeah. But I hope,
he's been absent for a few weeks. I hope that's a training block rather than anything else. Because if he has had time to train, I think he's absolutely nailed on for at least the bronze.
Yeah, I think so. There has been a few situations like with Julian Alfred where people have been out of action and we all speculate, are they injured? We don't know. People kind of keep the cards close. But I think that is the top 3. I think when Karsten lost the 400 hurdles after he broke 300 hurdles world record, I think he was tired. And imagine breaking a world record then a few days later.
At home, in front of a home crowd,
Yeah, the emotional lift and drop, and then you've got to go out there and put it on the line, and the other 2 they want to take your scalp now because they've got a little bit more grip between the teeth and they want to get at it. But I do believe he can push towards running 45 seconds. He ran 45 seconds in this exact stadium in 2021 at the Olympics. And again, I just believe every time he's on the start line, it must be exhausting for the others because they know he's going to absolutely commit, give it his all. And what a ferocious competitor he is. And I think he wins it this time. It's an amazing rivalry between the 3 of them. But again, in my opinion, Karsten Warholm's 45.9, similar to Sydney's, is one of the best performances ever in athletics. And I think he looks to be back to close to his best form ever. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was around, give or take, just under or just over 46 flat and wins it. That's my prediction.
No, I agree. And the final event, women's 400-meter hurdles. I think we could put Femke Bol out there. Yeah, she's probably is. I think she only got picked for the bronze last year in Paris because she tried to chase McLaughlin-Lavrone on her own. I think she paces it perfectly and wins. But Dalilah Muhammad, you've retired from competing. I've retired from competing. Yeah. Could she go out with an absolute dream finish and get back on the podium? Muhammad, she's having such a good season.
I'd love to see it because she was the person who really started to push this event out, wasn't she? In 2018 and 19, when her and Sydney were running 52 lows, they were breaking the world records. It was her and Sydney who really pushed this event on. And now we're seeing people run 50 seconds, 51. So she's an amazing athlete, absolutely lovely person. I've trained in 2021. I trained at AP Ranch where she was trained alongside her for 8 weeks. And what a true professional she is. Works as hard as anyone, insanely gifted. And yeah, it would be amazing to sign off with a medal because she's a legend of that event. She's one of the people who her and Sydney really pushed that event on, and I'd love to see her win a medal. And I think she will win a medal as well. I think Femke wins it. I know we did have Anna Cockrell pull out an amazing performance last year, but I do believe she beat Femke because Femke probably went along with, tried to push Sydney, who was just in another league. But not taking anything away from Anna Cockrell, I do believe she will also win a medal. But I think the medals go to Femke, Anna Cockrell, and Dalilah Muhammad.
Yeah. Richard, look, I think we could have spent even longer going through all of this. We managed to cram it all in a little over an hour. And we thank you so much for coming on and giving us all your insights. Are you heading out to Tokyo yourself?
I'm heading out to Tokyo. I'm coaching Dovey. Yep. I wish I was coaching Louis in the 100. I believe he should have been selected.
We'll do another episode on that.
Yeah, we'll do another one. I do believe I've seen him train, and he's been injured this year. He only had 3 races. He went to the trials and sat in the blocks. I think if he had another 10 meters of that race, he could have won it. He was coming through like a steam train. He's certainly in 9-second shape now, and if he did do the 100 meters, he certainly would have performed extremely well. But he's young. We've got more time. Gutted that he's not doing it. I believe he deserved to be picked, but he'll go and light up one of the relay legs and run something spectacular, and hopefully help bring the lads through to a good performance in the relay. So yeah.
And Dovey for another final?
Yeah, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. She's doing really good. She's getting better competition by competition, and yeah, I've just got to be that protective figure for her there and make sure she's comfortable, because, as you know, it's high pressure at the World Championships, and it can all get a lot. So just be my job there to keep her calm and just let her go and run and jump as free as possible and be her best.
We're enjoying watching the early stages of your coaching journey, Richard, and we look forward to seeing what you can do with Louis as well. Hopefully he stays fully fit next season, because we'd love to see, because we know how much potential he's got and how much potential you've got as a coach as well. So we're looking forward to seeing it again. Once again, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. All of the previews are available on our feed in a week leading up to the World Championships. So make sure you follow, subscribe, look over our social medias as well, and you won't miss a single moment. But for now, thanks for listening, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.